Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation. Thank you to Mr. Chairman and the dear audience and esteemed colleagues. It's my pleasure to be with you here, and as probably most of you believe that communication skills should be taught in the classroom, I'm not going to use the audio response in my talk, only because as an obesity specialist, I believe in activity rather than technology. So I want you to do a lot of activity with me here today. So let's start. So what are we here for? How can we teach communication skills, whether in our medical graduate degree or at our postgraduate degree? My work is mainly in the medical education and the undergraduate degrees. I don't do much work with the postgraduate apart from when they are with us in the hospital, so I don't do any dedicated teaching for them. So I will try to work with you through the evidence and how we can get there. So to start with, what is communication? And we try to see what is communication within medicine, what happens when it goes wrong, why it's important, and why do we need to learn it, if we need to learn it at all. So basically, how do we get from this to this? So that's what we want all our trainees and undergraduate medical degrees to become a good communicators rather than scratching their heads. And to start with, I just went to the dictionary to use what is communication. So communication is to share information with others, either by speaking or writing or moving your body or using any other signals. Now, one of the hurdles that we have today is we don't have the walking microphone, so we just have to use whatever we have within our field. And this is setting the scene. So I am put to debate against a professor of medicine who holds my promotion within the university, and he is also the undergraduate chairman for the phase 2. So we both will start this journey, we're both smiling, but as you see, he thinks he's the winner because he's pointing to himself, and because he's always wins whatever he wants to do anything, because he's professor and I'm just poor assistant professor at the Department of Medicine. So, it's just jeopardize my job. Also, he has chose the title for the debate. So this, shows you that he chose the topic that we're going to debate today. So I didn't get much choice there. So why do we teach communication skills? It's probably the most skills that we need our students to learn. I just want by show of hand, how many of you actually went on a proper communication course? Okay. So you went to a communication course in a classroom or by simulations or by SP, so you were trained how to communicate. Okay. And how many of you just were, thrown in the deep end and said, that's it, you have to deal with it? Okay, so some were thrown in the deep end and some were really prepared beforehand, went into communications course and did your preparatory work. How many when you would give any lectures would prepare beforehand? Most of us. And how many of us would just turn up and do any work? So, that's with everything in life, we really need to do a lot of preparations, and I would try to take you through the evidence why the preparation really works and how it works and what's the evidence behind it. So what we know from the literature that, low scores in communication skills are predictive for patient complaints. So this is what's published in the JAMA and showing you that, the weakest graduates with the lowest scores in the communication skills will have more lawsuits and more problems later in the life. So you can see that it has important predictive value as well. And what happens when it goes wrong? Well, we have increased amount of complaints, and also there will be conflict with negative experience, and there is a poor compliance. And if we look at the Medical Protection Society, it shows you that 2/3 of the litigation can be prevented just purely by good communications. So now communication skill is a must in all undergraduate medical degree curriculum. But many of you say, well, you teach it, but then we say they are ineffective in the hospital settings. And why is that? Is that because it wasn't properly taught, or because it was taught in the classroom, or what has happened? Or if you have taught it in the immediately in the hospital settings would, be better. But I would like to pause here and then ask you, what is a classroom? Can anyone define what is a classroom? Very good. So it's any place where people get together and learn. So it doesn't matter if it is in a room or an outside or a picnic or in a garden or in a hospital. So a classroom is everywhere. So if I go to the Oxford Dictionary, it says a room in which a class of pupils or students are taught. But also if you see any place where one learns or gains experience. So that is a classroom. So it's anywhere, any place where you gain experience. So this is the definition from the classroom. And if I just want to, if we think, no, we shouldn't teach it, we should just dive them in the end, and we have great role models in the hospitals, and they should just get it from the role modeling. I would like to share with you this video to see what would happen if we put our medical students straight into the hospital setting where you might have role modeling, and to see if it will work or not, and if you think this is a good communication or not. So I'll share this video with you. So I would like to stop it here. See, a surgeon job is just to go and go, and that's what your students might learn. So that's the role modeling you have in the hospital, and that's the attitude that they're going to take while they are in the hospital settings. If you don't want to prepare them with any proper communication skills prior hand. So first of all, I'd like to say the medical education cannot ignore the central importance that the effective clinical communication will lead to a higher quality healthcare. And this is an evidence base that we have a lot of evidence literature towards it. And this is what happens to when people are not prepared and they're just thrown at the deep end. So if you just want to pause for a second and you read this slide. So one consultant actually gave me a very bad news one day and said the chemo doesn't seem to be working and there's not much we can do. There is the possibility of this experimental drug, but we can't get it in the Southwest. And then he said, oh, wait a minute. He said, oh, I've got the wrong file. And so a bit of shocking interview, and he just sort of wrote it with a little joke. So that's what happened when you don't have, proper communication teaching, and you think you can get away with just a kind of joke and move on, without thinking what would happen to our poor patient, getting this news, which would be, very frightening news. So let's look into the research into clinical communication. We have enough randomized controlled trials to dictate that ensuring more effective consultation will increase your accuracy of giving the information to patients and efficiency. So, many people think that if you're communicating longer, you are wasting more time, but it's actually more efficient to our patients. It will help them that they feel supported, and once they feel supported, they will improve the health outcomes for the patients and enhance the doctor and patient satisfaction. And what we know, these are the things that we need to teach in any of our, medical or postgraduate, that the longer the doctor waits before interrupting the beginning of the interview, that the less likely it will be with the new complaints arise at the end of the interview, and the use of the open rather than the closed questions, and the use of the active listening. And if you look even, asking what worries you about this problem is not as effective question as what concerns you about this problem, and discovering unrecognized concerns. So it is, words and cues
and ways of how we communicate that makes a huge difference to not our patients and healthcare quality, but to everywhere, so in our society. And when we're training our medical undergraduates, we're not just training them for effective medical communication within our patients, but also how to become to communicate with health policy leaders, to your colleagues, and many others. So it's a wide spectrum. And if you ask the patient to repeat in their own words what they understand, they have just been given increase the retention of that information by 30%. So again, you need to teach your medical students and your trainees some, framework of what to do for each of them. And remember, only 7% of the message is received through words, 38% is through vocal tone, and 55% through nonverbal communications. What it means now, they have enough literature in the medicine that shows if we don't train people, that the patient will pick up your cues and the patient will decide upon them which therapy you want them to choose, which is something that you don't want to do, and you want them really to get the real information. So, by Piranha's tool, communication can be taught, and how we know which method works. So there is many randomized control trials, and this has been started back in the 1970s by Maguire Group, and showing that, studying 4 randomized control trials start with medical students, and then move to residents and junior doctors and nurses. And we have that overwhelming evidence for positive effect of communication training, and whether it's a medical student or residents or junior students or doctors, we know that preparing them with effective communication skills, prior to the setting makes a huge difference. These skills get retained, but what you need to do is to keep practicing them. So the idea is to keep practicing them, giving feedback, incorporating it. And if we didn't think the classroom is important, then why do we see a lot of places we're all investing in simulation, simulated learnings, and actors and SPs? And Prof. Nasser is also one of the faculty development committee member who were recruiting the SPs for our program in Kuwait to use for our simulations. So these are the evidence that shows that Maguire and Rutter, that in control trial medical students underwent training, report almost 3 times as more relevant. And what we want is to avoid the negative spiral that the person doesn't like, doesn't listen, doesn't understand, and we increase the communication gap. And we know that the most important part is the experiential learning, the active small group, and the observation of learners. And it's not classroom where we're basing on lectures and readings. It is actual role-playing, simulation, videotaping, and practice by doing, giving feedback, and teaching others. And that's what we want. So communication is not a skill that's learned by osmosis. And I just want to question yourself. How many of you saw a bad communicator in their life? How many of you saw a bad communicator in life, and how did it affect you? So, and if we didn't need to teach it, then just think of resuscitation scenario. All of us need to go on ACLS course. All of us need to go on a BLS course. If it doesn't need to be taught, then we can say, just dive in and respond to a coach. So, and breaking bad news as well, we as a doctors are not a good role model because many of us did not go to a communication skill, so it's like a blind leading the partial sighted. So, what I want to tell you, if there's no feedback, there's no improvement, so it's important that we have feedback, and the most important thing is you need to change your communication curriculum. So it has to be integrated in your curriculum. So when you say, why is not effective? Because at the moment, it's not yet integrated in your curriculum. And that's what we need to do. And if we ask me what would be the model, is, you have a continuum model where you would integrate it into the curriculum to be a fully integrated and assessed as well. As we know, assessment drives learning. And finally, so what I want you to keep you with, this is the timetable of my esteemed colleague. And if he does not believe in communication, he's the chair of postgraduate, he teaches communication skills,
that's 2 classes in the classroom for the communication skills and post-graduate. And he was running this, so I wasn't too sure.
Thank
if
you,
Dr.
Mr.
Mohan is trying to
Speaker.
get out of it today, not to run the course, or is it why would he run this course? Thank you.
Thank you.